tribes! So how has the population sorted itself through its history? Well, first off, only after the rise of Chinggis and the Mongol Empire in 1206 did everyone in Mongolia actually begin to consider themselves Mongols. The Mongols were originally just one tribe of many in the region. Many of the tribes spoke a similar language or close varieties of it, which we would today consider Mongolian. Ethnically, they were not homogeneous, with tribes of Tungusic, Siberian, Turkic, and what we today consider Mongolian heritage, alongside a variety of religions: shamanists, Buddhists, animists, Tengriists, some Muslims, and even Christians of the Nestorian variety. 3 of these tribes held the most power in Mongolia at the time of Temujin's birth. The Naiman in westernmost Mongolia, on the slopes of the Altai mountains, a Turkic tribe. They were Nestorian Christians, a branch of Christianity that broke off from mainline Christianity in the 5th century Common Era and slowly moved east. The Naiman were a cohesive unit and the most dominant force on the steppes until the death of their Khan Inanch in the 1190s, who then split his realm between his sons Buiruk and Tayang Khan. The second most powerful tribe was the Kereid in south-central Mongolia on the border of the Gobi Desert. Another Turkic Christian tribe, not as cohesive as the Naiman. In the second half of the 12th century, it would be ruled on and off again by Toghrul Khan, the on and off again ally of Temujin. And the third most important tribe was the Tartars. In eastern Mongolia, on the border with modern-day Manchuria, they were a confederation of 6 major tribes and subclans, loosely connected. They were vassals of the Jin dynasty in northeastern China, and they would be responsible for the death of Temujin's father Esugai, and their name, through a rather confusing set of circumstances and coincidences, such as being similar to the Greek word Tartarus, would become synonymous with that of the Mongols. The Mongol rule in Russia, for example, would become known as the Tartar yoke. Alongside these larger tribes were a large number of smaller tribes who were themselves divided into numerous clans and sub-clans, who were by no means united. The Merkit, for example, who had captured Temujin's wife Borte, lived in the northern forested mountain region and south of Lake Baikal, and were divided into 3 major clans, mostly antagonistic to one another. And most important to our story, the Mongols were just one tribe, their homeland on the slopes of Mount Burhan Khaldun and the Onon and Helilun rivers. The Mongols were divided into a number of clans themselves. The 2 most prominent were the Taichiud and the Borjigin, the later being the clan whom Temujin would belong to. Well, the Mongol clans had actually been united in the first half of the 12th century, before the birth of Temujin, in a military confederation of sorts. The Khan Kaidu, who died around 1100, would see his children split into the Borjigin and the Taichiud lines. Kaidu's great-grandson, the Borjigid Kabul, who was the great-grandfather of Temujin, would pass the Khanate to his cousin Ambahai of the Taichiud, instead of any of his own 7 children, causing the Taichiud to believe themselves superior to the Borjigids. A confused series of events I'll get into in the next one of these. And this is not even considering the full list of tribes and clans: the Jadaran, the Barlas, the Jurkin, the Ongud, the Buryat, the Olkunite, the Uryankai. It was a confused mix of clans and tribes of varying relations, a mixture it would take Temujin the first 40 years of his life to overcome. And that's not even touching on the outside influence of the Chinese, but that comes later. The main point is this: the tribes, through often petty family grievances, even though they may have been closely related, became hostile and antagonistic to one another, a condition not unique to the 12th century by any means. Effectively, as long as there had been tribes on the steppe north of China, they had lived in this uncooperative manner, briefly joining in military coalitions and confederations, and even empires, although nomadic empires, most infamously the Huns of Attila, were famed for their brevity, falling apart as soon as the founder died. And because of this antagonism of the tribes, modern Mongols today consider Chinggis's greatest accomplishment his unification of the tribes, the details of which we'll get into soon. Didn't press the right button.